Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Thank you so much for your time joining us in our partner training session. Before we begin, please feel free to put in any questions in the Q&A section or in the chat box during the webinar as well, as we will answer them towards the end of the presentation if time permits. A quick intro into who we are. TRINEXIA is a pan-EMEA specialty value-added distributor and a leader in providing the most trusted solutions within the cybersecurity and digital forensics space. We are a pure play provider of cybersecurity and digital forensic solutions to both public and private sector enterprises. Today, we are excited to collaborate with one of our strategic vendors, Futurex. For over 40 years, Futurex has been an award-winning leader and innovator in the encryption market, delivering uncompromising enterprise-grade data security solutions. Over 15,000 organizations worldwide trust Futurex to provide groundbreaking hardware security modules, key management servers, and cloud HSM solutions. FutureX maintains an unyielding commitment to offering advanced, standard-compliant data encryption solutions, including hardware security modules for general purpose, payments, cloud HSM, and post-quantum environments, enterprise key management and data protection, including cloud key management, IoT key injection, tokenization, database encryption, and file encryption, PKI and certificate authority solutions for document and code signing, offline root, issuing CA, EMVCA, and IoT PKI management, cryptographic and key management offloading for hundreds of common applications, cloud services, and network appliances, advanced automation, monitoring, and orchestration platforms for large distributed fleets of HSMs. On behalf of FutureX, we have their experts, starting with Adam Kaysen. Adam Kaysen is the VP of Global and Strategic Alliances at FutureX, where he manages FutureX channel, OEM, and technology partner ecosystem. He has a strong technical background and deep knowledge of hardware security modules, cloud security, key management, and enterprise cryptographic ecosystems. Also, Rafai Ghani, who is the sales director handling the MENA region with over 13 years of extensive sales experience. Rafai has been instrumental in delivering cutting-edge cybersecurity solutions across the Middle East region. His expertise spans a wide range of technologies, including advanced encryption methods, zero trust network access solution, anti-fraud systems, and hardware security modules. Rafai's deep understanding of the cybersecurity landscape and his commitment to delivering tailored solutions have made him a trusted advisor and a leader in the field. Last but not least, Haris Sefi, who is a global senior solution architect at FutureX, bringing nearly 15 years of expertise in cybersecurity domain. He specializes in various areas, including payment security, data protection, cloud security, and enterprise cryptographic solutions. Harris began his career at Barclay Card and MasterCard, focusing on cybersecurity in the banking and finance security. With that, I would like to hand it over to FutureX team.
Thank you, Ala. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Hello, everyone. Pleased to meet you today. And I'd like to thank you all for your time today. I'm Rafi. I'm the sales director at FutureX. Ala has already introduced about FutureX beautifully to you. So I don't think I'll take much of time. My colleagues will be taking you through the solutions, and that'd be more interesting. But I just want to take 1 minute of your time to tell you how I see. So Adam, I think Ala's almost mentioned everything here. I'll just like to stress on a few things. FutureX is a 40-year-old company. It carries vast experience, and based on its experience and catering to over 15,000 customers globally, we have become a leader in the encryption business. And today we want to talk to you about the trends in the encryption business. But as I said, I'll take a minute to highlight a few things, and I'm sure most of you would agree that we see that in the Middle East there is a demand for a surging demand for encryption solutions, and I think there's several reasons for it. We have consistently seen that the cyber attacks have been increasing. Ransomware in itself increased 56% in the recent years. There is new regulation laws that mandate strong data security, including encryption. The other thing is there's a rising digital growth initiatives taken by governments across Middle East, and that push for better cybersecurity, and obviously that makes encryption and key management more important. On that note, I think I'll bring in my colleague Adam. He's the VP of Strategy and Channels, and he can take you through one of the products which actually brings all our offerings, which you heard Ala together. It's a revolutionary product we launched this year at RSA. It's an all-in-one product, which includes the HSM, key management, PKI, CA, and data protection solutions. It can be deployed on premises. It can be a hybrid. It can be a virtual appliance. It can be over the cloud. I call it a revolutionary product. It is also turning out to be a flagship product. And I think on that note, I'll pass it to Adam. As Ala said, let's keep this webinar two-way. I am looking forward to seeing a lot of questions being put up on the chat, and we'll try and answer them during the presentation itself. However, if we miss something, we will take it at the end of the session to answer those. We'll make sure that you go back with something valuable and all your answers or questions are answered. Thank you. I'll pass it to Adam from here.
Wonderful. And thank you, Rafe. I appreciate it. And big thanks to Ala, to Jay, to the whole TRINEXIA team in helping organize this. And so today, what we really wanted to do is take some time to share our view of the enterprise data security and cryptography industry and what some of the common trends we're seeing in 2024 and moving into 2025 and beyond, and share a little bit of our take on it and where everybody on the call today as partners of TRINEXIA and people in the overall security ecosystem who are dealing with end users, whether they're banks, whether they're government institutions, whether they're IoT device manufacturers, whether they're corporations in general, regardless of industry vertical, we're seeing a lot of common threads run throughout the industry, not just in the Middle East, but worldwide. And we wanted to talk about a few of those today. And there's one in particular that a lot of our attention is going to be focused on, and that would be cryptographic infrastructure consolidation. So just to set the stage on this, historically, if you look at the way end users of HSMs and key management appliances or servers and other forms of cryptographic deployments have looked at it, you've had a lot of fragmentation. You have payment HSMs, you have general purpose HSMs, you have key management platforms, you have cloud security platforms. Historically, in this industry, those have all been thought of as separate items, separate solutions, quite often from different vendors, but quite often under the roof of a single vendor, having multiple separate solutions that have different code bases, different training requirements, different product roadmaps, a lot of things that make it very expensive and time-consuming and cumbersome to deploy for the end user. And from an integration standpoint, for all of the resellers or systems integrators or consultants out there, it also makes their lives more complicated. And I'm sure quite a few people on the call today have dealt with some of these challenges firsthand. And it's almost like this. We look at this as kind of an analogy where imagine if you had to have a separate smartphone for every type of app you wanted to use. I don't know about you all, but I would probably have 5 or 6 different pockets in my shirt and pants just so I could carry them all. And that sort of mindset at Futurex we felt is a little bit antiquated, a little bit outdated. And that's what we tried to fix with CryptoHub, which is our next generation platform that combines functionality for HSMs, for key management, for data protection, for certificate authority and PKI, all under a single solution. So building on this concept of cryptographic infrastructure consolidation, imagine as an end user, you might have some mix of these different use cases needed in your environment. Maybe not all of them, but for most enterprise organizations, they're using at least a few items on this list here. Maybe they're running Oracle or Microsoft SQL databases, and they want to use TDE or transparent data encryption to do either column or cell level encryption on the databases. Maybe they are in the payments world and they need to do transaction acquiring, or maybe they do card and mobile issuance or tokenization. Maybe, and this is another trend here that we're seeing a lot of, maybe they have a mandate within their organization to push out more of their workloads to the cloud, AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, and others. And they still want to retain control of their own encryption keys, meaning they can use the cloud providers for their services, but they can still control the encryption keys in-house. Maybe they need to do code signing or manage their enterprise PKI. With CryptoHub, all of these different things, all of these different use cases can be accomplished on a single platform. And that's what we really wanted to talk about today. This consolidation enables significant cost savings for the end user. It enables much easier migration if they're using legacy HSM or key management platforms. It enables them even to combine, if they're a payments organization, it enables them to combine both their payment and their general purpose functionality in a single platform, using technologies such as HSM virtualization to securely isolate workloads and to have multi-tenancy. So really the main concept we wanted to talk about today is when you're going out there and talking to prospective customers in the market or people who are using this type of technology, just the general understanding that all of these things, all of these different use cases can be accomplished using a single platform. That's something that is relatively uncommon in the industry. It's something that's not really been done at the level that we're doing it before. And so, as Rafe mentioned a few minutes ago, this solution that we have is deployed in three separate ways. First off would be the appliance model. And this probably for the next maybe 2 years or so will probably be the most common deployment model within the Middle East. That would be the appliance model, where this is a 2U network attached server that contains one of Futurex's HSMs inside it. This has been validated under FIPS 140-2 Level 3 and PCI HSM standards. So it's fully compliant for both general purpose cryptography and banking and financial services cryptography as well. So this is for organizations to deploy on premises in their own environment. Then we also have a virtual appliance, and this is a cloud version where customers can deploy a cloud version inside a virtualized environment like AWS, Azure, Google, even their own environment. Anywhere that you can deploy a Kubernetes cluster, you can deploy a virtual instance of CryptoHub and take advantage of some of the DevOps advantages that come with the cloud. Now, with the virtual appliance, not to get too into the weeds on technical specifics for today, because we wanted to keep it relatively high level, but it is worth noting that with the virtual appliance, it's not just software. It does connect externally to an HSM as a trust anchor, either one that you can run on premises as a network appliance, or in the third option, which is CryptoHub Cloud. And this is our SaaS offering, where we have CryptoHub functionality deployed completely as a service. And Futurex's team manages the compliance, they manage the care and feeding of the infrastructure in terms of firmware updates, network security, configuration, key management, everything like that. So our main message with this is, whatever data the customer wants to encrypt, wherever and however they want to encrypt it or manage the keys used for that, they have the ability here. Now, how these services are actually deployed uses almost a service marketplace environment that we've developed where it's kind of like an app store, it's kind of like a service marketplace. There are a lot of analogies you can make for it, but essentially, traditionally when customers or end users have deployed cryptography and key management, HSMs, the like, they've had to know a lot about the underlying cryptographic fundamentals and how everything works. With this, we have focused on making everything as simple and as easy as possible. And so with that, we've almost compartmentalized things in a sense, where the customer can ask themselves, what do I want to do today? And if, for example, they want to, let's see, maybe they want to use Oracle database TDE for database encryption, or maybe they want to connect to CyberArk or HashiCorp or Apache Tomcat or anything else for external key management. They would browse to this service marketplace within their crypto hub. They would click the deploy button, and then it would walk them through a series of wizard-based steps. Basically, it's saying, where is your application residing? How do you want to authenticate with it? A few other simple questions that change a little bit depending on the application. And then at the end of that, it will deploy it. It'll provide them a configuration file that they can load into their application. And then they're done. This takes a much simpler view of how to deploy this type of technology. And for the partner ecosystem, when you're out there talking to customers who are looking to enhance their overall security posture without necessarily taking on the complexity and the burden they might assume comes with it, this is a great area to get involved with. It's something where expanding out functionality is incredibly easy here. And so we really have designed this as a platform to begin with. So beyond what we have here, and we've got hundreds of different applications we integrate with, an important note to keep in mind is that any application that uses standards-based cryptographic libraries can interface with CryptoHub. So, for example, PKCS11, Java, JCA, JCE, Microsoft CNG, KMIP, or the Key Management Interoperability Protocol, OpenSSL, any applications out there that use those cryptographic interfaces are supported by CryptoHub. And if there's an application that your customers have developed in-house that they want to add a service tile for on here, we can do that either by working directly with Futurex's technical team to help add that in there, or they can add that using a template on their own. So one of the areas that our partners tend to really appreciate is the ability to fully customize customers' CryptoHub environments. And that's something where it's very easy to add value to the overall environment, help them design it, configure it, still with the understanding that actually using this functionality for the end customer is very, very simple. So when we look at the overall CryptoHub integration ecosystem, we started talking about a few of these on the slide before. We've got a few more of them listed here. This doesn't even scratch the surface of all the different integrations that we provide here. This is something where we have a team dedicated to these integrations. That is their only focus within Futurex. And so one of the most important things when you're working with prospective customers is to understand what technologies they're using, what things do they want to integrate with that we need to validate compatibility for if we don't already have it. Knowing that up front and working together with them is important. We like to be pretty hands-on in that process. And although our focus is on making this as easy as possible for customers, we also know that at the end of the day, enterprise key management especially as it relates to certificate authority, PKI, digital signing, transparent data protection, other use cases like that. Sometimes that does require a little more expertise. And that's why we really have a strong focus from a support standpoint on what we can do to help out there. So I wanted to pause for just a minute here to ask, while we kind of take a break in the action here, does anybody have any questions they wanted to jump in with now? I haven't seen any in the chat yet, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them there and we can address them now. We also are going to be having a dedicated Q&A portion at the end of this as well. So I know in just a couple of minutes, I'm gonna pass the microphone over to my colleague Harris, who's gonna go into an actual demonstration of CryptoHub, walk through a live demo and show that to you. And then at the end, we'll wrap up with a few next steps, a few things that we can all do together to help enable one another in the ecosystem here. So it looks like we haven't had any questions come in yet. So Harris, I'll probably go ahead and pass over to you if you're ready to deliver the demo.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you so much, Adam. That's been excellent. So first and foremost, thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to dial into the webinar. It's great to see that so many of you could make it today. As Adam mentioned, we thought it would be a good idea for this webinar to give you a quick introduction into the CryptoHub product to get you familiar with the look and feel of the product. So I'm going to share my screen and I hope that you can see it and hear me loud and clear as well.
Perfect.
Excellent. Good stuff. So first and foremost, I want to emphasize on the fact that we applied security best practices in and around the CryptoHub appliance. And so in order for me to be able to log into CryptoHub, I need to provide at least 2 identities where I can use the default identities of an administrator in order to reach the landing page of CryptoHub. We do support a role-based access control model to authenticate to CryptoHub. So you can create your identities, you can assign roles and permissions to those identities. There are some predefined roles within CryptoHub, but you can also create your own custom roles. And you can also configure how many of these identities or users need to authenticate to CryptoHub in order to fulfill the role, such that sensitive operations can be executed. And that obviously ensures dual control, but it also ensures segregation of duties. So without any further delay, let me log into my CryptoHub appliance. And by the way, it was mentioned already during this webinar that there are different deployment models available. And the way that I'm connecting to my CryptoHub appliance is that it is currently hosted in one of our cloud sites in India. The first thing that you see when you log into CryptoHub successfully is a list of different applications and technologies that can seamlessly communicate and integrate with the CryptoHub appliance. And I want to emphasize over here that this by no means reflects the actual number of applications or technologies that can natively or seamlessly integrate to CryptoHub. As it was mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, we launched this product at the beginning of this year. And we are continuously and systematically adding more and more technologies or applications into the CryptoHub service, which again seamlessly integrate to the CryptoHub appliance. You can see on the left-hand side that we have created different categories. And it was mentioned as well by Adam earlier. One of the key questions that we want to understand from potential customers are the technologies that they're using in their infrastructure. So, for example, if you come across a use case where the customer or the prospect is using a Microsoft PKI, to be a little bit more clear, if they're using a Microsoft Active Directory certificate service, you can either see it on the landing page of CryptoHub, or you can also go into one of those categories. Most probably it'll be under certificate authority, where you can see that Microsoft ADCS is listed. And again, I'm reiterating, when we designed the CryptoHub solution, we really wanted to make it easy for users to spin up and set up CryptoHub in such a way that it can be, with a few button clicks, be ready to integrate into the application. And so for Microsoft ADCS, for example, if I click the button over here called deploy, I can give this service a name. I've created quite a few of these services. So in this case, I'm going to call it Microsoft ADCS test. I can select the category, which is under certificate authority. I can click on next. I can then provide access control as well to this service. I'm going to use the default setting for now and allow my admin login to be able to use that particular service on CryptoHub. I can then provide an authentication mechanism, which is typical between the Microsoft ADCS server and the CryptoHub appliance. So I will use the API key method, and I can deploy it. So in a couple of seconds, this service will be deployed, and I will be able to enroll an endpoint as well over here now, which will then allow me to download a zip file that contains all the files and informations that are required in order to get the connection established between Microsoft ADCS and the CryptoHub appliance. So if I was to add a new endpoint over here, I can give this a name. Let's call it test Harris. It will provide me with the CryptoHub host name, and I can also configure the platform over here. I will leave the default configuration as is. So when I click on add endpoint, it will download a zip file, as I mentioned earlier, automatically. So this is test Harris Microsoft ADCS. I can open the zip file. I can extract it. Give me 1 second. So that is extracted now. And as I mentioned earlier, it will provide you with all the files that are needed in order to successfully integrate your Microsoft ADCS environment with CryptoHub. So again, I would like to emphasize over here that when we designed the CryptoHub appliance, it is different and easier in comparison to what you saw traditionally when you were working with cryptographic appliances. You had to get familiar with really nitty-gritty granular configurations and parameters in order to set up your cryptographic appliance properly or correctly. With CryptoHub, we have literally taken that pain away from the users, and with a few button clicks, as per this example, you can have your CryptoHub appliance up and running, and it can seamlessly communicate to the application or the technology that is being used by the prospect, by the potential customer. So CryptoHub is a very feature-rich appliance, and for sure, if there is any interest to go deeper into the demo for specific topics that you are interested in, we can obviously set up subsequent sessions to do so, but I'm going to keep this demo on a high level for now. You've got another tab over here called Deployed Services that will list out for you the services that you have deployed on CryptoHub. As you can see, I've done quite a few demos with Microsoft ADCS. You have a tab as well called Administrative Services over here, where you can perform certain functions and features in more depth. So for example, you have got a key management tab over here, where you can look into your key database. You can actually manage the cryptographic keys that are being used across the infrastructure of a potential customer. So we provide full key lifecycle management. You can set up a PKI infrastructure from scratch. So we do support via CryptoHub for you to be able to set up a fully fledged PKI infrastructure, whether it's a root CA, sub CA, or issuing CA, as well as registry authorities. We do provide the flexibility as well. Whilst we provide predefined templates for certificates that you can leverage from on CryptoHub, we do provide the flexibility as well to create custom templates for digital certificates that are issued within a customer's infrastructure. We've got other tabs which are related to data protection, where we can provide file and folder level encryption, both at the system level and at the kernel level as well. CryptoHub supports tokenization as well. Again, there's the flexibility granted to the CryptoHub user. You can create tokens in various different formats using various different algorithms. All of those functions and features are fully supported in CryptoHub. You can perform a point of sale key injection via CryptoHub, and you have got other tabs as well. So I can go into the identity management tab as well. I can create, as I mentioned earlier, different identities. I can assign permissions and roles to those identities, and I can configure how many of those identities or users need to log into CryptoHub before a role can be fulfilled. The other thing worth noting is that we have got several different buttons here on the top right as well. The first one is for notifications. The next one is actually quite important as it provides support information. Right, so it gives you contact details to reach out to a Futurex's support team. The next button is actually also very important for the support team because it provides you with system information with regards to the Crypto Hub appliance that you are using. And so these are some of the fundamental questions that are being asked by our support team in order to understand, which version of Crypto Hub is being used and so on and so forth. And then one last thing that I would like to show you is under the administrative tasks or other administration tasks is you can actually, and again, Crypto Hub is a very feature-rich appliance, and we can have obviously potential customers who want to use initially Crypto Hub, say for example, as a payment HSM, and then as their use case is growing and they would like to enable additional functions or features on Crypto Hub, they can do that via a license. So we can generate a license. That license can be remotely loaded onto Crypto Hub in order to enhance the functions and features that are available on Crypto Hub. So I can view the licenses that I've currently got in my environment. I can edit the licenses as well. I can allow Crypto Hub to run in different modes as well. So it can run either in standard mode, it can run in FIPS mode or in PCI mode as well. And last but not least, we do provide the ability for potential customers to utilize Crypto Hub as an evaluation unit for testing purposes. And we can load the Crypto Hub appliance with Futurex test master keys. The PMK, the platform master key, typically indicates it's an AES master key. We have the BAK, which is a backup encryption key. The MFK, which is our master file key, that's a triple DES master key, and the SCEK, which is a smart card encryption key. And that is being used if you are storing the components of your master key onto smart cards. By utilizing the test master keys from Futurex, it makes it a lot easier in case there is, any issues at the customer side, and they would like to share these issues with us. We can recreate those on our side very quickly and help with the debugging. So we do provide those test master keys as well. I could configure as well over here whether I want to allow V keys to be loaded or not. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to keep the demo on a very high level. I think you can see that there are quite a lot of different services that are available on Crypto Hub. And if there are any of the topics that you would like to go in more depth, then we are more than happy to set up a subsequent session at any time together with TRINEXIA. With that being said, I will stop sharing my screen and I will pass back to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Harris. So there was one more item from a little bit of a technical perspective that I wanted to cover here before transitioning into some notes about next steps and other things we're seeing in the industry and how we can all work towards mutual success here. And I wanted to talk about one of the underlying technologies that powers Crypto Hub, and that is Futurex's HSM virtualization engine. So we developed functionality back in, I think, 2015 or 2016 to containerize instances of our firmware and create virtual HSMs, up to 75 of them within a single physical HSM, where you can logically subdivide it out. And each virtual HSM has its own instance of our firmware. In fact, you can run multiple virtual HSMs with different versions of our firmware on the same physical appliance. Each virtual HSM has its own keys, major keys, security policy, configuration settings, users. You even have dedicated throughput allocations to different virtual HSMs. So for example, if you look at the service marketplace that Harris just showed, maybe you have an application that is mission critical, that is your client organization's most important thing they do, right? You can prioritize that by allocating more operations per second to that virtual HSM. And then maybe you have another application that's not mission critical or is used infrequently. You can limit the throughput of that. So with that, you ensure that no one application can consume resources of another. And this multi-tenancy focused architecture is what we've used for Futurex's own SaaS offering. It allows us to dynamically spin up cloud HSMs, spin them down, assign them to high availability clusters. You can actually clone virtual HSMs across physical appliances and across regions. So if you're working with customers who are maybe multinational organizations who have different sites, maybe they've got their primary data center, they've got their DR data center, maybe they have some in different regions altogether, they can manage that infrastructure from a single place and dynamically control what's happening with their HSMs. They can scale up, they can add new HSMs incredibly easily. So this technology here is something we could talk about probably for another hour straight, but in the interest of time for today, I just wanted to mention it briefly. Before we go in now to a little bit of focus on the Futurex and TRINEXIA partner ecosystem and what we wanted to share with everybody today in terms of next steps and some things we found to be very helpful. First up is just a focus around the industry, particularly in the Middle East. We're seeing cryptographic modernization being a strong trend. Some of this is driven by legacy HSM and key management vendors' end-of-life activities, but a lot of it, more than that even, is driven by a couple of different factors. One is the increasing adoption of cloud services and the need for additional security alongside that. Another is a desire to consolidate some of the different use cases for enterprise cryptography and key management into a single platform. For ease of management, for costs, for training, for when you look in the future at things like post-quantum cryptography, the ability to deploy some of those algorithms for all of those different use cases rather than on the schedule of 5 different vendors that make up your ecosystem. That's been a big focus that we've seen out there. The second one we've got here is simplicity. And hopefully you've seen this with the demo Harris gave. But that really is our driving focus from both a technical perspective with the product itself and also a commercial perspective. We have tried to make the quoting process very, very easy, where CryptoHub has a license-based model where the number of licenses that the end customer needs to buy essentially depends on how many things they want to connect it to. And once you get the hang of that from a quoting perspective as partners and resellers out there working with TRINEXIA on this, you'll find it to be very, very quick and easy. And then the third thing we wanted to talk about, but really more just offer, because we have CryptoHub as a SaaS offering, a cloud offering, it makes it very easy to do fast proof of concept and evaluations. We do still offer on-premises appliances for evaluation if customers need that. However, probably 9 times out of 10, they look at it and say, well, you know what, we can be online and testing this out by next week if we use the cloud version. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're able to offer that, and customers tend to find that to be very, very helpful in seeing what we have to offer and how it fits into their environment. Next up, we've talked about this a little bit, but just recapping here, we recommend working very, very closely with our technical team, especially as it relates to application integration. Occasionally, a customer will come along and they'll have a new application, either something they developed in-house or something that we might be unofficially supported for, but not officially integrated yet. And that's a good opportunity for our integration team to work together with you and with the end customer to actually complete that. And as part of that, we certify our compatibility, we add a listing for it in CryptoHub, and we develop integration material, typically an integration guide, maybe a video tutorial, things like that. And then finally, one of the areas that I think is really important for our partners to understand is training, professional services, consulting, and those represent tremendous opportunities to add value to the customer's environment and to increase the overall deal size for partners. There's still, no matter how easy we make the product to deploy, there are still a lot of ancillary considerations external to the Futurex side of things that are perfect opportunities for you all partnering with TRINEXIA to get in there and deploy and offer to the end customer, whether it's certificate policies, whether it's payments industry consulting around PCI compliance. What we found is the value of having industry experts who are trusted in there, helping make recommendations, help them with architecture, they will take those services, and it's incredibly valuable to them. And the partners of ours who've found the greatest success are really the ones who have been able to grasp the technology quickly, but also have a good understanding of the industry around it and can really work to build some success off that. So I know we've got about 15 minutes more in the time we've got allotted today. And again, I appreciate everyone's time in joining in. And we wanted to open up for any additional questions that anyone might have. Feel free to drop them in the chat. I know we've got a couple of them so far that we've had that we can go ahead and address here. So there was one earlier about using the same HSM for both payment and general purpose. And we do support that. You can segment them out where, for example, in a payments environment, quite often you have certain functions that you need to disable or not have access to. You can do that on that virtual HSM and have maybe a payment application specific profile. As far as integration with third-party payment applications, Futurex has an API compatibility layer with virtually all major host applications around the world, meaning that if you're already using another HSM vendor for payments right now, and you're looking at migrating away from them, maybe due to an end of life or any other reason, there is a very, very strong likelihood that you will be able to essentially plug in the Futurex HSM, do some basic initial configuration, and everything works just out of the box without having to do any code changes or anything like that. And that's something where, it's one thing for us to say it here, but I think really proving that with some of these evaluations and trial instances of this allows the end customer to actually see it with their own eyes. Next up, we've got a question about certificate management. The question is, does certificate management support managing certificates from different CAs, including internal CAs like Microsoft? And Harris or Rafe, feel free to jump in and give some additional detail on this. The short answer to start, we do support integration with external CA providers. So for example, DigiCert, you can connect with the CryptoHub platform for managing an external CA workflow. Harris, do you want to go into a little more detail on this topic,
yeah, sure.
if you can?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So again, yeah,
I think we may have lost you to mute, Harris.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was on mute. I'm very sorry. So the short answer is yes, we do support the management of certificates from different CAs, like internal CAs or Microsoft CA. You have got the ability, and I'll reiterate what I said during the demo. You can either create a fully fledged PKI infrastructure from scratch on CryptoHub, but you can also import existing PKI infrastructure components onto CryptoHub, including the importing of digital certificates as well, which can be managed via CryptoHub. So the answer is yes, we can do that for sure.
Okay, I think there's another question: where is the CryptoHub cloud version hosted? And I think I would like to answer this because there was a poll also during the session where we asked which of the statements reflect how you expect customers to behave in 2025. And it was around if customers will increase and adopt cloud-based HSMs and key management, or customers will continue to prefer on-premises deployments, or customers will prefer to offload encryption and key management to application vendors. The poll results was that 85% have opted that the customers will adopt cloud-based HSMs, and 14% say they will stay with the on-premises deployment for HSMs and key management. Futurex, thank you for that, answering that poll. Futurex, let me give you a little background on Futurex. We missed it probably in the beginning. Futurex is a American company based out of Texas. Our headquarters, obviously, for Middle East is in Dubai. We have established data centers across the globe, including Americas, Europe, and APAC. We have now launched 3 data centers in India, and the next set of data centers are coming up in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. So I think that would answer the last question.
Yeah, and just to build on that as well, the reason why Futurex's own SaaS offering is our own data centers is for a few different reasons, but one of the big ones is for cloud payment HSMs, which is where we see a lot of interest. There are some compliance requirements there that you can't get by using just a regular public cloud provider. Most significantly, PCI PIN for PIN transaction security and PCI P2PE for point-to-point encryption. So we do, however, have direct connectivity into all major public cloud providers. So if your end customers are using AWS or Azure or Google, they can connect in to any of our cloud data centers from any cloud region worldwide. Now, just to maybe answer one other possible side question on that, if the customer is deploying their own virtual appliance version of CryptoHub, then that uses a Kubernetes cluster-based format. So they can deploy that wherever they want. They can deploy it in a cloud provider and region of their choosing. They can deploy it in a virtualization environment on premises. That's really up to them. So we have the most possible flexibility there. Next up, let's see, how can we sync between HSM boxes in production and DR as far as key transport, key synchronization goes? So that's a really good question, because that typically is a real pain point for a lot of end users managing a distributed network of HSMs. And so the way we've architected this is such that you actually can cluster HSMs, whether they're physical HSMs or virtual HSMs. You can put them into a cluster. You can designate which devices or HSMs are used for primary processing and which are backup. So for example, the backup HSMs might be in a different data center. You know, they might be halfway around the world if you wanted. Those would only begin processing operations if the primary ones were to go down. Along with that, all keys, configuration settings, and everything else like that, certificates, all that, those are automatically synchronized without the user needing to do anything. So we have a full ability to do that automatic synchronization between sites.
Excellent. Adam, there was another poll if you want to take that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like there was, we had one more poll about maybe a next up session, and we've got some interest, I think, in generative AI and post-quantum cryptography of payment and GP consolidation, a lot of these things. What I would say about these is, these are all fun topics that are very, very relevant now. And so for anybody interested to talk more about any of these, or about really anything related to the industry in general, we would love to set up a standalone session with you where we can dive deep into either the technology or the commercial side of things together with TRINEXIA. We can talk about maybe some specific challenges that your customers are seeing and how we can work together to help present them a potential solution there. I know one of the biggest ones we're seeing interest in today is post-quantum cryptography. And we do have that functionality, all of the NIST-approved PQC algorithms available in our HSMs now. We also, on our CA platform, we support a hybrid certificate authority where you can embed a certificate container with both conventional, like RSA or ECC signatures and post-quantum signatures. So that way, in the future, you can transition to using post-quantum algorithms without having to reissue certificates. And that uses X509 v3 extensions for that functionality. And typically, we've seen the most interest for that in like the long lifespan IoT device world. If for example, you have a vehicle or a satellite or something like that, where it's going to have a long, decade plus lifespan, it would be very difficult to re-sign it if needed. Let's see. So any other questions or anything like that for now?
There is one more question. Does Crypto Hub have clustering?
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the things we didn't have time to show in the demo today. But you can, within Crypto Hub, cluster both physical HSMs that are external to Crypto Hub and virtual HSMs. Let's see. And then the final question here before we'll probably need to wrap up in a couple of minutes. The way we integrate with applications uses standards-based cryptographic libraries. And so like PKCS11 or Java or Microsoft CNG or any of those. And so when we've gone through and our integration engineering team has tested and certified compatibility, we will create a service entry on Crypto Hub. And so that's what you saw in Harris's demo. Now, if a customer is using an application that we have not yet officially certified with, it still will work if it uses one of those libraries. And customers can add their own in there. We have some services for just generic PKCS11 or generic Java. It may take a little more configuration in order to make sure all the parameters in the, for example, PKCS11 configuration file are set correctly. But yeah, that's fully supported for additional applications. Quite often, that's something where we would want to work together with our support team, with the customer, to help them through that process and just make it as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I can just add one more word to this as well, Adam. Is that as Adam mentioned earlier, there are various different protocols that are supported in Crypto Hub, and I'm just going to say out as it is. So when you're working with payment applications, we do provide in the payment HSM world the ability to use either our native Xscript API. We do support other APIs as well, such as the international API, which is the PayShield API, and we also support the Atala API as well. So we provide that flexibility basically to use various different API models to communicate with the Crypto Hub appliance. And some of the APIs in the general purpose HSM world, which Adam mentioned earlier, PKCS11, OpenSSL, Java JCE or JCA, Microsoft CAPI or CNG, all of those protocols are natively supported in Crypto Hub as well as the KMIP protocol, which we fully support on Crypto Hub as well. And given that we support such a large number of different protocols, it makes it a lot easier for us, to integrate to any applications that are out there. So yeah, I think that needed to be said as well.
Okay, so I think we can hand it over back to TRINEXIA, take it and wrap it up, or if anybody wants to add.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. Thank you, Adam, Rafael, Harris, for a great session. If you have any questions or require a demo about Futurex, please feel free to reach out to the TRINEXIA team or the Futurex team, and we will help you out. We will be sending the video recording of the session in the next 2 days, along with with some data sheets and the presentations. If you require any more information, please feel free to reach out to us. Adam, I think there is one more question for you in the chat box. If you can answer that.
Absolutely. So short answer to that is yes, certainly we can. I think for anybody who would like to schedule maybe a bespoke demo on a specific use case, if you'd like to coordinate with the TRINEXIA team or coordinate with us, we can set that up. Ideally, we can set something up that matches the application or the type of integration you're looking to do exactly. So certainly we can. And then similarly for documentation, integration guides, and other items like that, we can also make those available as well. So again, as we wrap up here, we're really looking forward to working together with everybody who joined the call today. Thank you for taking time out of what are surely busy schedules to join us. It's been a pleasure, as always. Jay, Ala, the whole TRINEXIA team, thank you so much for organizing this. It's been a pleasure, and I think we'll look forward to speaking with everyone again soon.
Thank you so much.